No matter what age you're living in, there is never any shortage of ignorant fools who want you to toss everything ancient and traditional straight into the garbage, because obviously all human learning and wisdom and knowledge began when the current generation arrived on the scene. I mean, duh. And you know what I submit as Exhibit A in my thesis? That says they are all idiots. February 29th, Leap Day to its friends. That day that arrives every so often to remind us that sometimes it takes many, many thousands of years of everybody on the planet working the same problem in order to solve it. Even a problem as simple as, how long is a year? And we have February 29th, but only a couple times a decade, as a reminder that our answer to that question is still a decidedly imperfect one. And a reminder also that the problems we still have with our calendar today, while they are less numerous and generally less severe, they're still basically the same problems that Julius Caesar was trying to solve back in 45 BC when he created the calendar we pretty much still use today. Notwithstanding, of course, the helpful series of tweaks that it received from Pope Gregory the 13th in the late 16th century, and the other little tweak it received in the late 18th century. And if you want to talk about writing your name in the annals of history in great big, bold letters, in all likelihood, people will still be using a slightly modified version of Julius Caesar's calendar for another 10,000 years from now, if not longer, and I suspect that probably wouldn't surprise him in the slightest. It's easy enough to keep track of the passage of time from, external observational cues. There are 4 seasons. They each last 90 days or so. Then they repeat. Boom, that's a year. The moon's got a 28-day cycle. Then that repeats. We'll call that a month. It's right there in the name and everything. And we have a 24-hour day-night cycle during which, from our perspective, the heavens, the celestial sphere, if you will, does a full revolution in the sky. So that's a day. But what's an hour? And what's a minute? And what's a second? Well, to use the preferred parlance of the young purple-haired wokesters, those are just social constructs. They're things we invented that aren't measurable against any external cues. We just needed units of time measurement that were smaller than a day. So no matter how well you arrange your calendar, the amount of real time that it takes the Earth to go around the sun will never be exactly the same as the certain number of hours and minutes and seconds, and thus you wind up with a year that's 365 days and a few hours long. And every 4 years we add a day to February to sync everything back up, except not quite, because even that rule isn't hard and fast. Every 100 years, they skip a leap year unless it's a year divisible by 400. I am not making up any of that, and I swear to God I never heard it before. I'm kind of amazed, actually. Here, I will read out the reference just like a fancy academic. Quote, every year that is exactly divisible by 4 is a leap year, except for years that are exactly divisible by 100, but these centurial years are leap years if they are exactly divisible by 400. For example, the years 1700, 1800, and 1900 are not leap years, but the years 1600 and 2000 are. End quote. You got all that? Hope so, because there's a quiz on Friday. I feel like the Tin Man after he explained how to get the square root of an isosceles triangle. I don't know what any of it meant, but it sure sounded pretty. The point being, will you look at the number of weird esoteric hoops that we still have to jump through just to keep Julius Caesar's calendar aligned with the astronomical reality? Sometimes it takes us many, many thousands of years trying to figure a thing out, and the battle still ain't won. If you want more evidence? Take a look at what happened each time some group of self-satisfied radical douchebags took over a country and tried to proclaim their own brand new calendar. Or, more broadly yet, each time some group of self-satisfied radical douchebags took over a country and tried to dispense with the ancient and the traditional in all sectors of public life, because, there's a certain series of events that always accompanies that narrative, really. It begins with the pulling down of the statues and the demonizing of the formerly revered historical figures. Then it moves on to the political cleansing of the libraries and the school curricula, and then, before you know it, just like that, God damn it, guys, we've got to hire a whole shitload of guillotine operators. Pronto!